What's up YouTube, and welcome back for part 14 of the STI build. In this episode I'm going to keep it nice, short and simple because I'm still really sick. My throat is and I really need a prescription that I haven't gotten yet. So I'm going to install the fuel pump. We're putting a high flow fuel pump into the car. Tyler bought a AEM 320 liter per hour fuel pump. I've opened up the box, I've taken a look at the pump. It's got the pump, it's got a little screen that may or may not work, a connector that we'll probably have to wire in. It doesn't really have much else, so I'm kind of hoping that it's just a direct kind of bolt on. If not, I do have clamps and probably some hose that I can use if I have to. But first thing is getting the sending unit out of the car. Unfortunately, Tyler's already taken out the rear seat for me, so it's just a matter of getting the sending unit out of the car, and I'll probably sit it on the bench and we'll install the fuel pump there. First thing we're going to do is take off this top plate, so we'll just take out this little grommet with the electrical and Phillips to undo these 4 screws holding the top cover. I'm just gonna push this grommet through the cover and kind of pull the cover down out of the way of the electrical, and the same with this little foam insulator. And now I can wiggle the electrical connector right off the sending assembly. Now all we have left is just these little push-in tabs and clips, so as long as we push those in, wiggle the line, they'll all pop off. We don't really have to be concerned about fuel pressure at this point because we let the fuel pressure go a long time ago. Just a little pull in here, and some fuel might come out, but it shouldn't be under pressure at this point. This one might be a little tight. I'll go for this one first. Might need some pliers to get them loose, some needle nose or something. At this point you're going to need some rags to just sop up some of the fuel that might leak out of the lines. And not going to be a bad idea to have a drain pan close by to put the pump assembly in and not spill fuel all over the place. So now there's just 8mm nuts left holding the pump assembly down. Just a good little tip is to spray a little bit of penetrating fluid onto the studs before unbolting them. And these guys on older vehicles, they just love to snap off. With all the nuts off, now this locking ring should come out of the way. We'd have to maneuver around the line ports a little bit. And the sending unit should just lift out of there now. So have your drain pan very close by. And when maneuvering it out, you can see I've got it on an angle now. I'm just going to let it sit here for a second just to drain some more of the fuel out. Let it just drain directly and back into the tank. And I'm pulling it out on an angle because of the actual float arm of the sending unit, or the fuel sender. It needs to be maneuvered out. Easily bent or broken if you're just yanking the sending unit out. So just it's drained out a little bit. You need to maneuver these out on an angle and pull it out so that float, because you can see it's on the side, it will not pull straight up out of there. It'll break this tab or bend or whatever. So now just take this over to the bench and we'll dig inside of it. So fuel sending assemblies have changed quite a bit over the years. They used to just be a lid with a little bracket that came down, supported the pump, and the gauge kind of fell off to one side, or it was another pot that fell down into the tank. But so they incorporate quite a bit into this. You can see they're a little bit spring loaded, and they're in a few pieces, and the fuel pump's inside there, so we need to get it out. And you'll notice these snap clips just going around. As long as you have those up and you start pulling down, these come apart pretty easy, and you don't have to put very much force into them. If you do, well, they'll start cracking and breaking. So and of course, the older they get, the plastic will be that much more brittle. And you can see this clip has quite a bit of pliability to it. I shouldn't have anything breaking on me, so I'm going to start there, and at the same time I'll probably have to let these little quick connect connectors go. That one for the sender and this one for the pump. I'll just try and start wedging my fingers into this thing, and you can see if you even just pulling on these two and pushing down there, you can at least get it so that it's started to come apart. Using a few fingers all at once, and shouldn't take too much to actually get it to completely release. So when you're looking at it as two pieces, this is pretty much just a baffle, and it'll hold quite a bit of fuel in it. And I guess the return comes right inside of it as well, so it always refills this small baffle before pouring back out into the tank. So next I'm going to take off the top part of it. It's pretty easy to do. You got to compress this to the point that you can get these little C-clips or E-clips off. So just get a little pair of side cutters. You'll just grab a hold and pull them right off. You have to route through all your hoses. And boom, there's the what's holding the pump anyway. So just a little pry on the top connector here. The electrical connector will come off, and this is what we're left with. So next, to get the pump out, there's these two clips in here, and they need to be pried over pretty far. You can try and do it from the top in here, but I think two straight picks all the way in should be able to pull the pump out pretty easy. So I've just set it in the vise to give me a hold on the pump, give me a kind of a third hand, and I've gotten one clip to fully release. Just come over to this other one, just some nice wiggling, and there comes the housing, leaves the pump behind. So that's what we're ready to change out. And putting the two pumps side by side, you can see that this is a direct fit replacement. It will go into the housing and actually replace the factory pump. So you got a new O-ring to put onto the AEM pump, and this guy should literally just kind of go up in here and snap right back into place, kind of like that. With the pump back in place, just take the electrical connector and plug it back in, and we'll get ready to sit the pump back down. Just make sure you're bringing the hoses up through properly and don't get the wire tangled anywhere. And go ahead and reattach the hoses on the bottom, and then we can plug the pump harness into the main connector, and next will be the filter. So we'll just pop this on the bottom, and you want to get this on far enough that you can take that little clip and reseat it on the post. This might be a little challenging. Once the sock's installed, now you're ready to put the baffle back in place. We're going to give this a quick little rinse out. And I'm just going to kind of guide this all back together. And once it's kind of all lined up, just a really good firm push to get all those clips to attach again. And with all the clips reseated, make sure that they're all seated. We can go ahead and then just plug in the fuel sender again. And this guy's ready to reinstall into the car. Make sure you reinstall this little kind of gasket or seal. I would make a guess that this is more for emission leaks. If you've got a vehicle small leak detected and you can't find where that leak is, this thing's probably missing. You've got to go down in on an angle with the float first. And once that float goes in, the housing should just kind of straighten up a little bit and fall right back down into place. So with the pump kind of in place, I'll put the locking ring kind of in over top. If something's obstructing you, like the wiring, the seal, one of the lines, I mean, you're just going to have to stop and figure out what it is. Now with all the nuts in place, I'll just slowly start turning these in by hand. Because of the springs on that fuel pump assembly, it's always kind of pushing up against you. And you just want to make sure you're getting it down evenly. And the torque for these is quite low. It's low enough that you can just torque them by hand. It's about 3.2 or 3.6 foot-pounds. But you definitely want to go in a crisscross pattern, so start there and move over to this side. Now just one quick pass. You want to make sure they're tight, but you don't want to overpower them. They'll be easily broken off. And now with the pump assembly fully bolted in, start popping our lines back on. And lastly, the electrical connector. So all you have to do to finish up, just put the little foam insulator back in place. And the cover. And that's basically it. One fuel pump installed. So yeah, a nice short sweet video for today. Already got the fuel pump in. I'm pretty sure some models you don't actually have to remove the rear seat. The fuel pump sits in behind the rear seat on older vehicles. But I can't remember right now, and I'm not going to look it up. So, but yeah, it's basically the same type of install for every Subaru. You get that top cover off, get your lines and electrical out of the way, and then the whole sending unit will come out inside the car. And some of the actual physical pumps are easier to change than this one. You don't have to disassemble so much, but they all serve the exact same purpose. So yeah, with Friday off this week, Sunday's video is more than likely going to be getting the clutch on and dropping the motor into the car, because I do have the clutch. It did arrive today, so I can go about getting this thing together, which I need to do. So if you like this video, definitely give it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, please consider hitting that subscribe button. Leave your questions and comments further down below, and I'll see you in the next one.